Welcome to our newest segment, Mondays with Mel, on In the Vine podcast. These episodes, Melissa will be taking the opportunity to get creative, sharing biblical insight and teaching, hosting new guests, and more. Stay tuned, and if you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to show your support and like, share, and subscribe.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Mondays with Mel. It is your host, Mel, and here with me today, I have
Shekinah!
Yay! And I hope you guys are enjoying my new green screen today, my new green background. Shekinah, it was so kind to invite me into her domain. As you guys know, my birthday was a few days ago, and so I was like, hey, I want to go camping. And she was like, then we go camping.
Then we go camping.
Yeah. So here we are. Hi.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good.
How are you enjoying the great outdoors?
I love it. It's my
beautiful.
favorite. Yeah. I got woken up by not chickens, but cows this morning.
They were quite chatty this morning. The campsite that we picked, I had no idea it was near a cattle farm. Cool.
Yeah, so there's that. If only we could have like fresh milk. That'd actually be pretty good. No? Okay, whatever.
I'm just
milk.
thinking of it being warm.
Oh, gross. Gross. Okay, moving on. So she kind of mentioned, I was like, hey, what are we going to talk about? And she was like, she mentioned that she put up some questions for you guys to ask for her and I to discuss. Do you remember what those were?
I hope so. I apologize. I wrote them down and I forgot to bring them with me. But there were only 5, so I think I have remembered them. So the first question, if I remember correctly, was, what is the biggest conflict that you guys have had to overcome, and how did you overcome it?
You answer that one first.
Honestly, I went right away to when we were living together. We were roommates. That we had to deal with some conflicts.
Oh, wait, with each other?
Yes, with each other.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Yeah, for sure when we lived together in that house.
Yes.
Do you remember any instances?
I think overall the conflict really was just learning how to live with 3 different women who all had completely different like backgrounds and lifestyles and trying to come together and put that together. But I think the biggest thing was sharing a kitchen.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes.
Sharing a kitchen was definitely the challenge for sure. So keeping up with the chores and cleaning, and we all had our different styles of cleaning and we all had our different way of combating the messes, you know. So I think that was probably one of our more minor conflicts, but still a conflict that we dealt with during the 2 years that we lived together.
Yeah. And I think what helped honestly navigate that, because even to this day we have people like, how did you guys do that? And I think for me was because the 3 of us were going to the same church and had the same accountability. Yeah. And so our standards for morality and values and conviction were all the same. So we knew that if we have and the roommate meetings. Roommate meetings were a saving grace because we always made it a point to meet once a week. We shared 2 compliments to each other, and we shared 1 opportunity. And so what that does when you do that with people that you live with is that it makes you conscious of looking for compliments, because after some point, like, you have to get creative.
Yeah, because you can't use the same ones twice. That
exactly.
was the rule.
It was so cool. So
we were super intentional with keeping up with our communication. That was a big thing.
Yeah. So the conflicts were, in comparison, not that great to the level of communication that we learned during that time. So
we would tell each other all the time, you are preparing me for the conflicts of marriage.
Yeah. Yeah, we would say that all the time.
We would get mad at each other and just end it with, I'm going to count this as a blessing because you're preparing me for the conflicts of marriage.
Yes. Absolutely. So there's that. What was the next question?
The next question, oh gosh, it was, what do you value most in each other?
Oh,
yeah.
That was so sweet.
It is sweet.
Okay, you go.
No, genuinely, because, I've had time to also kind of, simmer on these questions for a little bit. So my answer to that would definitely be your genuinity. Like, you go out of your way for people and you go outside your own comfort zone for people, and you're just so genuine and authentic. And I think that's what makes you just such a great person, is that you're just honest. And not in I feel like a lot of people use that as an excuse to just be blunt and kind of a jerk and go, I'm just honest. But you're not like that. Like, you're honest, but in the most graceful, kind way with people. You're willing to express how you're feeling with them, or express concerns for the lifestyles that they're living, and you're never fake. And so I think everything you do is just authentic, even when you're pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone. Like, it's just authentic, and you'll do it kicking and screaming, but you'll do it, like, and you don't always put like, and I know it sounds weird to say, but you don't always like force a smile on your face and do it, like, but you are willing to do it. And when you get to the end of it, you're so proud of yourself, and you're so proud of the people who walked with you in that. And it's just so awesome to be a part of that with you, because I feel like a lot of people will climb up these uphill battles, if that makes sense, and they're just forcing a fake smile, and they're just forcing them, like, you guys can do it, kind of thing. And that's great if you're like a coach or something. But when you're walking alongside somebody, it's nice to know that you have a shoulder to cry on, and you can be their shoulder to cry on. And like, you're encouraging, but you're also not in a demeaning, like, I'm better than you kind of way. It's, we're doing this together. And I think you're like that in everything you do in your life, and in the areas that you are kind of above somebody and you have experienced that already. That's when you are that coach and that encouraging, and that, like, you can do it. I did it. Like, I can do, like, but yeah, I think that's definitely, like, I think one of the things that I value most about you, among so many other things, is just you're so authentic, you're so genuine, and you don't give into excuses. You just don't, ever, and you just go for it.
Shekinah. That was actually really sweet. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And for me, now I feel like hopefully I don't cheat you out of this answer, because I haven't had time, right? But I think when I think about Shekinah, one of the biggest things that I treasure and value the most is her steadfastness. So, and her genuine religion, if that makes sense. And the reason for that, like, there's that saying that still waters run deep. And with you, like, you don't have to show up into a room and like take over, but you know how to command authority. And so with me, that creates a sense of stability, and that creates a sense of peace and also safety, because I know that if you're in the room, you're not flippant. And so I know that if the whole room is in chaos, and I can count on you and I can depend on you for you to be there and to show up. And if I'm like, hey, I'm really struggling in this area, then you won't use that against me. You don't use that against anybody, but you're like, okay, like, let me help you. Let me partner up with you. Let me see how I can bring my giftings and my experiences and whatever the Lord has given me in order to be able to add on to you. And I think, in the position that you are, not just in your family, but at church, it could be really easy for you to pull that card, and it could be really easy for you to be like, well, I'm the pastor's daughter, but that's never been you. You've always been okay with being in the background. You've always been okay with playing a supporting role. And even, doing like the ladies only things, like, you did that with other people in mind. You didn't do it for yourself. And so to me, I think that's such it commands honor, because it's like, you really are serving. And to me, and part what sucks is that people don't see that, and they can undervalue that. But that's never, I'm sure it hurts, like, I'm sure there's times where you're like, hey, what the heck? But still, at the end of the day, like, you do it, and it's not for no other reason except to honor the Lord. And so I love to hear you sometimes, and you're like, oh, the Lord told me this, and it's like this intricate, long thing, and I'm like, wow, that's amazing, And so it pushes me, and it inspires me, and it just helps me create like this anchoring in my soul and in my position. And it's just like, and I love and I value your input. Like, I mean, yesterday when I met you, it's like, hey, I need advice on this. And you're just like, yeah, you're overthinking it. And I'm like, okay, praise God. Hallelujah. On to next topic, But yeah, I really appreciate that about you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Next.
We had 2 questions about telling our snow experience.
Okay.
We've never told the story without laughing. It was the most ridiculous experience to this day of my life. It was just one thing after another. We were in a sitcom. I swear, there were cameras.
I think the Lord was bored that day.
He was just like, this will be fun.
Let's throw in a little snowstorm in there.
Let's really bond them.
Yeah.
Or destroy them. We'll see. So, starts off with, I'm living in Oklahoma. The Lord calls me back to California. I tell Melissa, we end up deciding to become roommates. So she flew all the way over to Oklahoma, bless her heart. That's not like, I meant actually like a bless your heart. I realized it's not a Southern bless your heart.
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. It's not a Southern bless your heart. No, genuinely, I was so grateful. She flew all the way to Oklahoma and road tripped back with me to California in my very first janky vehicle. Janky, dude.
Yeah.
We survived barely, but we survived.
Yes, we did.
Chevy Malibu, man. But yeah, she flew all the way over to Oklahoma, and we road tripped back. And
not even it must have not even been an hour into being on the road.
It was actually 5 hours into the trip, but it
really,
yeah. I remember thinking we're only 5 hours into this trip. But our first incident, because we were on the road, and I pulled over to get gas. I went off the.
Yeah.
By the way, it was the worst snowstorm that Southern California has ever seen. I think
Southern California or the
Southern Hemisphere? Yeah, thank you. Southern Hemisphere has ever seen, which we're driving along the entire Southern Hemisphere during the worst blizzard in my janky car. Dude, I was terrified.
It was ingredients for a perfect storm.
It was awesome.
Quite literally.
And so we got off the off-ramp to go get some gas. Couldn't find gas. So I was like, whatever, let's get off the next off-ramp. So we're exiting out, hit black ice, and I swear to you, the most slow motion experience. Slow. We're just on this black ice. Yeah. I'm hitting the brakes. I'm trying to turn. Nothing's happening. We're just coasting. And then the gentlest little tap.
Yeah.
The sidewalk curb. We hit the sidewalk curb. My two wheels hit the sidewalk curb. I don't know what happened. It must have hit it perfectly. The airbags go off.
They just deplete. But this is my favorite part. This is where it all took a turn for me, okay? Because I turned around because I'm like, what just happened? My freaking pinky will never have the same nail ever again. But I turn around and Shekinah, her face, she is mad. I would use a different word, but
I got punched in the face because I was like, as I'm driving, I'm trying to navigate. So I'm hovering over the steering wheel. I'm like pressed up against my steering wheel trying to like navigate this. Melissa's watching me.
Yeah.
So she gets punched in the cheek. I get punched in the chin. I was mad.
Yeah, I've never seen that face on Shekinah until then, and since then it's been the funniest thing.
But tell them what you did to try to make the situation
okay
I'm on the phone with AAA.
She's on the phone with AAA trying to get our situation situated, and I was like, you know what, I've never seen so much snow in my life. I'm trying to make lemonade out of lemons. So then I get out and I'm like, cool, snowball fight, right? Like, it just makes sense. It doesn't. Snowball fight. And so then I get out and I throw
She threw a snowball at the window. I'm on the phone with AAA. My airbag's hanging out. The car still smells like smoke from the airbag deploying. I'm angry, and all of a sudden I hear is bang. I look over, and Melissa just has this huge smile on her face with a snowball in her hand.
And usually I know how to read a room. Okay? But this time I was just like, you know what? Let me just make this like a core experience, like add on to it. And I did. Look at us laughing.
Yeah. Thank you. In the moment, though, I was so livid. I was on the phone with this woman who had no idea what she was doing.
The lady was so concerned. She was like a mom, I'm sure. She was so concerned. She's like, please just stay there. You cannot drive your car like that. And me and she kind of looked at each other and we were like, eh.
Yeah, I looked up the cost of how much to repair your airbags, and I was like, we're fine.
That'll do it.
We're fine. We'll just keep going.
It was one of those trips. So anyway, we just embarked and we continued going. We did it, So then we get to the Grand Canyon. Beautiful. Stunning.
Took a bunch of pictures.
Yeah, which I don't have. Do you have those pictures?
Yeah, I do have a lot of pictures.
Please share them with me.
Yes, I have a bunch of pictures still.
Nice.
Anyway, so yeah, we made it to the Grand Canyon. It was great. It was awesome. And then we had the option of staying at the Grand Canyon Hotel.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, no, like we still want to make it to Vegas, because that was what we were trying to do, was make it to Vegas before we got home, just to drive through.
I think there was a church that there was a church that I wanted to go there. Yeah, you did mention there was
a church there. So that was our plan, was to drive through Vegas, and so I was like, I don't want to get snowed in and miss Vegas. So we ended up driving out. The snow is piling up. Like, I feel like I could just watch it rising on the side. You're hungry.
I'm not starving, but I was like, we need to eat.
Yeah. And
Not
it's
yet starving, I should say.
stressful situations, I can't eat. I can't think about food. That's not on my mind. So she sees a restaurant.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
She saw a restaurant, and I'm thinking black ice again. I'm like, I am not stopping this car, Melissa. We are waiting until we get into town and we get to our hotel.
Mm-hmm.
So, I was like, eat the oranges on the floor.
I don't want, I'm tired of this, Grandpa.
It's too dang bad.
That's exactly it. I was like, I don't want any more nuts. I don't want any more chips. I don't want any more cuties. I just want food. And I hadn't had breakfast. If you know me, you know me and breakfast go together like white on rice, okay? So I was so mad. So mad. So she just kept going. I was like, oh, and it's not like it's a chain of restaurants. Like, it was the one restaurant, okay? So then we just keep going. And at this point, I'm really mad, and we don't see anything for, like, there's nothing in sight, right?
Yeah.
And so
miles and miles.
I remember Shekinah was, like, stressing out. And I remember I was there sitting, and I was, like, fuming. And I hear the Lord tell me, tell Shekinah she's driving great.
Yeah.
Literally hear the Lord tell me this. And I'm like, no, I'm mad. He's like, tell Shekinah she's doing great. And I'm not exaggerating. This is literally what I heard the Lord say. And I was like, okay. And after like 5 minutes and just, paying attention to what she's doing or whatever, I was like, Shekinah, you're doing great. And Shekinah's body just like loosens up.
I needed that. I'm a word of affirmations person. So just hearing that was just like, because I knew you were mad and I could feel it. Like I could feel the tension.
I don't play.
Oh yeah, no, like she doesn't have to say anything. Yeah. You just know she's mad. And I was but I felt so bad, but I was just like, I can't, like I am way too scared to pull over. Like I just want to get to our hotel room. And so, but I felt bad. And so like, so I was stressed out. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to pull over, but I also don't want to like keep her hungry. And I was like, I don't know what to do. And then you said, you're doing great. And I was just like, everything in me just melted. I was just like, thank you.
Yeah, and then we hit the next little accident that we had, right? So
yes,
then
we're almost to the hotel. We're almost there, like light at the end of the tunnel, we thought. And then there's more traffic, right? Everyone's driving really slow. So again, another slow motion moment. I was afraid. I started feeling the black ice under the tires, and so instead of running into the person in front of me, I decided, oh look, a snowbank. So real slow motion, we just slid into a snowbank.
Yep.
And it buried my car, and I couldn't get out. Yep. Without hesitation, though, she jumps out and just starts shoveling the snow with her bare hands out from under the tires.
I was hungry.
She was hungry. I was like, dang, she's determined. And so she just starts shoveling.
Yeah.
The part, you got to my driver's side.
Yeah, this part's comical.
Like, it was just like a cartoon moment. Literally, you're just like sitting there and like you're just like shoveling snow and you're walking towards my tire and you just slip and fall. And so from my perspective, I would just see you go just down. And I wanted to open my door to check on you, but I was like, I don't want to hit her. Like, I just don't want to add to this comedy.
We would have fought. We would have fought. You would have been a snow angel. Yeah.
So I'm sitting there like looking for you. I'm like, I can't see you. I'm like, where'd she go? And then I just see you out of nowhere pop up. I'm okay.
I felt so stupid because I was pissed. I was determined. And then I just had to like play it off. Like it was just not a good look. Not a good look.
I felt so bad. You get in the car so that I can try to get out. And I didn't know how to express like sympathy. I didn't know how to like express my gratitude in that moment because I was just so like in shock of like everything that was happening, all the chaos. So like I don't know why, but my expression of sympathy and gratitude was, "Aw, you got snow in your boot."
I was like,
you gave me was the same look I gave
you. Yeah, it must have been. I was like, are you freaking kidding me? I just shoveled snow out of 4 tires. I'm hungry, and I got snow on my boot.
Yeah, that's the biggest concern right now.
Yeah,
that's you. How are you not concerned about the snow in your boot?
But from there on, that's when it kind of got a little bit better, right? And then we finally got to the hotel. They had no food.
Called my mom because my mom saved the day. Yep. We were like, we need a new hotel now because there wasn't even like restaurants in the vicinity. So my mom, like close by. So my mom found us a new hotel. We drive to a new hotel, which just so happened to have a Pizza Hut in the
Yep.
parking lot.
Oof. Game over.
Hotel took care of us. We loaded up on fried dough.
Yep.
And
It was the best.
It was the best. And I think, were we there for like 2 nights?
I think we might have been.
Yeah, we were there for like 2 days just living off of Pizza Hut because they didn't have like a continental breakfast, I don't think. Yeah.
Nope.
So, yeah, that was fun. And then we're watching the news while we're at the hotel, just bored out of our minds. And the road that we're supposed to be taking to Las Vegas had like a 52 car pileup. And I told Melissa, I was like, we're not going to Vegas. We're just going home.
And I was like, oh.
Yeah.
I probably still would have been down.
So, and then we were done. They gave the all clear for the highway. It finally opened up so we can get out of there. And my car battery was dead.
Oh my gosh, I totally forgot about that.
Car battery was dead. And I found a tow truck in the parking lot and I ran over to him and I was like, can you please help me start my car? And because this car was so janky, I had everything. I had the jumper cables and all that. So we just hooked it all up. He charged up my battery, which took so long because it was like flatline dead. There was not anything. So it took a long time for it to charge, but it did, thank the Lord. We found a cute little diner.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think that changed. That's what changed us. We finally had a good breakfast. I think because we both really enjoy breakfast. Like if we get a good breakfast, our day is set.
Done.
So we found a cute diner, a little bear themed diner. We sat down, had a great breakfast. My car made it all the way back home.
Yeah, celebratory In-N-Out lunch, and that was awesome. And then we went to Bible study right after.
We did. We were holy.
Yep. So that's our story about that.
Yeah, we did pretty good.
We did pretty good, yes.
We did pretty good. Normally when we tell the story, we cannot get through it. So.
Yeah, no, it's honestly one of my best experiences ever in this lifetime. It's been so fun. That's when Shekinah and I really bonded.
Oh, yeah.
We went through
really set us up for a great roommate situation.
It really
for
did.
Sure.
It really did. Okay, I think you had one last question you mentioned.
Yes, this one actually doesn't pertain to us, and I think it's a really good question though. Is how do you navigate the world and its temptations after you turn 18?
Oof, that's so good.
Yeah.
For me, that one's tough because when I turned 18, that's actually when I got crazy.
You actually have a great pair here because when I moved out at 17. But I really didn't stray from the Lord. I didn't have a wild experience. I did stay faithful, and then you have the opposite that didn't stay faithful.
Yeah. Oh no, I was like 18.
So I think that's just a perfect pair to answer this question because we both came from very different backgrounds, which led us into a very different life decisions, I think. But I would say right away when I moved off to college, the Lord really ministered to me, and I was asking the Lord, okay, I want to stay faithful to you. What do I do? And he said, surround yourself with faithful people. So for me, my number one goal upon moving out was finding good, godly women that I can surround myself with. And it took some time. That first freshman year, I literally went from like group to group to group to group. And I just determined in different groups, okay, this is not the lifestyle that I want. This is not the future that I want. This is not the personality that I want to be around. And sometimes it wasn't even bad. It was just, it's just not what I want for my life.
Yeah.
So I just moved on to a next group. I wasn't rude about it. I was graceful. Peace out, guys. But I eventually did. I made sure that I showed up to church and to all the school events and to anywhere I knew that I could socialize with other students. I was very intentional. Trust me, it's way outside my comfort zone. Yeah. But I was very, very intentional about showing up and meeting people and going, not just being a wallflower, but actually getting out of my comfort zone and just looking for opportunities to say hi. And honestly, it really benefited me and it really worked out because towards the end of my freshman year, I did find an amazing group of ladies. We ended up living with each other through the rest of the year. We held each other accountable. We prayed for each other. And they were very honest people. And to this day, I still have a relationship with them. So that's what held me accountable to navigating those temptations because it's hard to go to a party where things aren't too holy when your friends aren't there. It's hard to go out drinking when your friends aren't at the bar. So find those friends who aren't in those places or willing to go to those places, and you won't find yourself in those places. So that was really a huge thing for me, was really my number one goal upon entering adulthood, was finding godly people that I could really surround myself with.
Yeah.
Because 18, I don't know like what your situation is. I don't know if you're going out to college or you're staying at home but getting a new job or whatever. But 18 is a whole nother world.
Yeah, absolutely. So I love what you said, and I think it really just comes down to goals. Because for me, my goal was to wild out. That was my goal, and so I lived my life according to that. My goal was to experience certain things and to do certain things, and so then I accomplished those goals, and I surrounded myself around people that were doing those things. And so obviously it wasn't a godly thing and it wasn't a holy thing. So I think it's up to you to decide what kind of person that you want to be and live your life according to that. So I agree with what Shekinah said. There's a scripture in Job that says, I have heard of you by the hearing of the ears, but now my eyes see you. And so if you're a young Christian and you're about to move on and you're about to be your own person, I think this is one of those like coming of age things where it's like, wow, my parents instilled this into me, but now it becomes, you have the opportunity to become your own person. And it's like, are you going to throw away your training, or are you going to not just adapt it and become it, but are you going to build on it, and so map out the person that you want to be. I think you did great in explaining that.
Yeah, no, and I love how you that's absolutely, I think the conclusion there is set up your goals, and from there, when you determine the kind of person you want to be, surround yourself with people who also share those same values and goals. But yeah, no, it's perfect. And a lot of people have a hard time setting goals, especially 18.
Yeah.
Dude, 18 is hard to figure out who you want to be. But start with what you don't want to be. That's way easier.
Yes.
If you don't know who you want to be or what you want to be, at least start out with what you don't want to be.
That's good. Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a really positive step to take, and so we all have clear things that we look at in the world and we go, I don't ever want to become that.
Yeah.
And so you can start mapping out your goals from that standpoint, but as godly women, we can say that our goals personally are to just always remain as faithful, as godly, and biblically true as possible in our lives. And so it's really set up goals to match our relationships with that. And I think it's really benefited us in keeping us accountable to that.
Yes. And lastly, one thing that I told my my niece, because she just went out to college, is learn to trust your instincts, and don't be obviously don't put yourself in situations where for sure, okay, like this is blatant sin, but learn to trust your instincts, learn to trust who God has made you. Of course, again, I say that with wisdom, please, and don't be afraid of making mistakes. I think there's always grace as long as your goal is to honor the Lord.
Yes.
So with that, anything else you want to add?
I think we just about covered it.
Awesome. So thank you guys for tuning in. We hope that you enjoyed our On Location Mondays with Mel. We're going to go to the lake now. So see you later.
Thank you for listening. If you liked this episode or we answered any of your questions, or you have a question that you would like to be discussed in future episodes, let us know in the comments or share on social media. And don't forget to visit our website for more information about our upcoming events, and be sure to hit subscribe so you won't miss out on the amazing content and guests we have lined up for you. Shalom and God bless.